This video is brought to you by Card Kingdom, and while supplies last, if you mention Saffron Olive in your order notes, we'll hook you up with a free Saffron Olive sticker with any Card Kingdom order.
Hey friends, it's Tomer, and welcome back to Budget Commander. There's been a lot of grumblings recently about the state of mono white in Commander. Simply put, mono white is the weakest monocolor. This is the common consensus among the Commander community and has even been acknowledged recently by Wizards of the Coast. There's a few reasons why mono white is the weakest, but the primary reason is due to a severe lack of good card draw options. Wizards has even identified this problem and is looking to fix it, but have yet to come up with a good solution that fits their game design philosophy. But just because mono white is the weakest monocolor doesn't mean you can't make a great mono white deck. In fact, you can make some fantastic mono white decks on an extreme budget, and that's exactly what my goal is for this video and the next one. I'm going to show you how to build two powerful, consistent mono white decks for just $25 each, both with wildly different game plans and card choices. I've done my research and playtesting, and I'm super excited to show you what this underdog color can do when built correctly. This video will feature a brief overview of the deck's primary goals, highlight some key cards, and show off some sample deck lists. As always, if you'd like to read an in-depth guide to the deck including hundreds of card options, check out the accompanying article linked in the video description below. As the title suggests, the first commander that I will be covering is Sram Senior Edificer. Sram is a card drawing machine, drawing you a card whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell. Not only is he one of the best sources of card draw in white, but he also costs only 2 mana, which means we'll have reliable access to him throughout the game, and because of that, we can go deep building an entire deck around him. By loading our deck full of cheap auras, equipments, and vehicles, we can advance our board while drawing more cards than any other mono white deck could even dream of. This version of Sram is going to be a Voltron deck, looking to kill our opponents by dealing 21 commander damage to them with Sram. While we're going to be running some equipments and vehicles, this deck will be primarily focused on auras, running a ton of auras and cards that care about auras. Our game plan is simple. First, we're going to cast Sram and immediately protect him with auras. Then we're going to cast auras and equipment to ramp, remove threats, and protect Sram even more, all while drawing an absurd amount of cards. Finally, we will use auras to pump up Sram's power so we can win with commander damage or with our backup beaters. With our game plan established, let's go over the key aspects of the deck. First off is ramp. There's actually quite a few excellent equipments at ramp that we can add to our deck. The best and most expensive option of the bunch is Sword of the Animus, repeatedly ramping each time we attack. Dowsing Dagger is another great option, flipping into a land that taps for 3 mana. While not quite as good as the other two options, Explorer Scope and Prying Blade are still solid ramp sources that are very cheap to cast. And remember, all of these draw us a card when Sram is on the battlefield. Focusing on auras lets us take advantage of 3 powerful ramp options: Hero of Iroas, Starfield Mystic, and Dana the Capashen Paragon. Each of these help us spam out our cheap auras, and they can double as backup beaters if Sram gets shut down. Next is protection. Sram is our primary card draw and win condition in the deck, so we want to make sure he isn't being killed. Protection auras like Mask of Law and Grace and Shield of Duty and Reason protect Sram from targeted removal and creatures of specific colors, while also providing him evasion by letting him attack through potential blockers of those colors. Hyena Umbra protects Sram from destruction, and Flicker Form is the best of the best in the entire deck, protecting Sram from pretty much anything as long as you have mana to flicker him. Next is my favorite part of any deck, card draw. Sram is our primary source of card draw in the deck, but there's a few other cards that do serious work here as well. Core Spirit Dancer and Mesa Enchantress are basically Sram's 2 and 3 in our aura deck, drawing us even more cards whenever we cast an aura. For equipment card draw, there's none better than Mask of Memory, repeatedly drawing us 2 cards each combat and discarding the worst card from our hand. Then there's the almighty Sage's Reverie, which is an absurd card in our aura deck, drawing us tons of cards and turning Sram into a lethal attacker, all just for 4 mana. You would think something as crazy good as Sage's Reverie would be my top favorite card in the entire deck, but there's actually a card that I love even more here. Flickering Ward is hands down the best card in the entire deck. Not only is it flexible protection for Sram, but most importantly, you can return Ward to your hand for just 1 mana. This lets you bounce and recast Ward over and over, drawing cards off Sram and triggering other aura support cards for just 2 mana each time. While it sounds silly, if your opponents don't have an answer for you repeatedly recasting Ward, they're probably going to lose as you run them over with card advantage. There are a couple other auras that can return themselves back to your hand, but Flickering Ward is by far the best of them all. Next is Tutors. While Mono White is generally lacking in Tutors, they actually have the best aura Tutors. 3 Dreams is the best of the best, tutoring 3 cards for just 5 mana. Heliod's Pilgrim and Open the Armory are also great budget-friendly options. For pricier options, there's Enlightened Tutor, which is just as much an auto-include as it is in most other white decks. White boasts some ridiculously good aura recursion. Crystal Chimes returns all of the enchantments from our graveyard to our hand, Retether and Open the Vaults returns them all to the battlefield, and if you're willing to splurge, then Replenish is the best of the best, returning all your enchantments to the battlefield. Our deck doesn't try to win fast. We're a grindy value deck, looking to overwhelm our opponents with card draw and finishing them off with a beefed up Sram. We need to slow our opponents' decks down so we have time to grind them out. In order to do so, we'll need a higher than average amount of removal. Since the only creature we really care about is Sram, board wipes that spare him are excellent here. Divine Reckoning and Single Combat can clean up the board of extra creatures while barely affecting us. Winds of Wrath is the best board wipe in the entire deck, however, since our enchanted creatures are spared from its wrath. Another cool mono white tech for this deck is Ravnica at War, which can randomly blow out multicolor decks while not affecting us at all. There's a bunch of great aura options for targeted removal. Darksteel Mutation and Reprobation both neuter a threatening creature without killing them, the perfect answer to opposing commanders. Mortal Obstinacy can deal with enchantments, and Faith's Fetters can deal with any permanent. Finally, let's win the game. The primary way we win is by beefing up Sram so he can dish out a lethal 21 commander damage to each opponent. There's plenty of auras and equipments that can boost Sram's power into lethal territory, with 2 of my favorite being All That Glitters and Armored Ascension. But even if Sram can't finish the job, our Horde of Angels summoned by Sigil of the Empty Throne or a Kitty Swarm from Ajani's Chosen will do the trick as well. Now that we've covered all key aspects of the deck, let's check out the sample deck list. You can find the full deck list linked in the video description. The first list is starting at just $25 US at the time of this recording. I'm confident that this deck draws more cards than any other $25 mono white deck that has ever come before it. Our plan is to play Sram, Senior Edificer, then vomit out an absurd number of cheap auras and equipments onto the battlefield to buff up our commander, all while drawing crazy amounts of cards. We beat face with Sram, or our Horde of Angels summoned by Sigil of the Empty Throne, or Kitty Smash with Ajani's Chosen. Doubling the budget lets us kick things up a notch. Check out our absurd mass recursion with Open the Vaults and Retether. And our ramp is getting insane thanks to cards like Soul Ring, Dousing Daggers, and Sword of the Anime. Bam! The biggest upgrade in the $100 list is Land Tax, which is one of the best cards in the entire format and well worth the $22 price tag. We've also added the best white ramp card, Smothering Tithe, and the best white land, Emeria the Sky Ruin. And that's it for Budget Sram Senior Edificer. If you like this deck overview and want to read more, then check out the in-depth guide linked in the video description below. I hope you enjoyed my take on Sram, and maybe I've convinced someone that mono white isn't as bad as you thought it is. The next article will cover one more mono white deck, Teshar Combo, which I'm super excited about. Until then, friends, see ya! Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up with the latest and greatest, click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to check out similar videos, click on the links here and here.